Hello, everyone, and welcome to this session. So, this session is going to be in part of the Tarot Revelations series, which is the new project that I am embarking on this fall season. One of the best ways for us to understand new ideas that are far off, is to use what is called analogies, stories or scenes that we are familiar with, and then we could use that as a basis to really understand what it is that we are doing and where it is that we are going. So imagine that you're driving on the highway, right? And as you're driving, signs appear, right? So if you're going to visit a friend in another state, then you follow the signs that tell you, the next exit is, 2 miles ahead, 3 miles ahead. And, you follow the sign that is the most relevant to you. So if you need a rest, then you're going to get off on the rest stop, right? If you need fuel for your vehicle, then you get off on that stop, right? So you have a destination, right? Now, in the mystical world, right, in the esoteric world, in the higher world, so we're going to use that as the main term here. Many different traditions, they call it differently. Some call it the astral plane, some call it secondary worlds, the subconscious. They have various different signs. But in our school, in our system, we're going to use the higher world, which I've borrowed and, reinterpreted from, one of a very interesting esoteric philosopher, Rudolf Steiner. The place that we are going is not a physical place, right? It's not, we cannot just simply get in a car and say, let's get out of this place. Let's go to another state and start a new life, which is what most people, who haven't been properly initiated, that's what they think is the solution. I'm going to move to another state and start a new life. But what they don't realize is that no matter where you go, there's one thing that you always take with you, and that is your current world view. The way that you see the world, the way that you perceive yourself. So it doesn't matter where we go, that always gets carried with us. So even if we go, let's say a European vacation where it's just overwhelming, maybe that high lasts for like maybe a week or two. But eventually, once, those peak experiences start to settle, our conditioned psyche comes to its normal mode of operation, right? There really is nowhere to go physically, right? Where we need to go is a psychological place, right? And that is the idea behind initiation is leaving our current state of mind and entering into a higher world, into sort of a higher dimension where our view of the world is expanded and more magical, right? How do we begin to embark on that journey, right? So like I mentioned, there's various terms. And I think that, these are different sort of avenues, different vehicles that people from different backgrounds, they'll find. And the signs are different for everybody. Somebody may have an empathic energy charge towards, let's say, Eastern ideas like Buddhist ideas, right? So they'll study those ideas and use those concepts in order to achieve their version of the higher world. Others will stay more within the Western method of what we may call Western esotericism. So the signs will appear differently. All we have to do is look, right? All we have to do is look and decide that we are now ready to find a new place to live in, a new culture, right? A new culture. So this is the second term that I am introducing here is esoteric culture, right? So the first term is the higher world, right? That's where we want to go. That's where we want to move to, right? Psychologically, we want to move to a higher world. And in this higher world, there's a new culture, what I call esoteric culture, just to have something that we can, grasp and hold on to temporarily, right? And within esoteric culture is there are activities for those who are initiated, and there's also activities for those who are called to be initiated, right? So in my end, what I am doing is part of the esoteric culture, right? I am embarked in this journey, which there's more and more to explore, but part of that exploration is maybe documenting or commenting on our experiences so far, right? Which we see a lot nowadays, especially with the advent of the internet. There's various people from various different traditions that tell their stories in hopes that, through the magic of the World Wide Web, they'll find a like-minded community that is going through the same process and going through the same stages. And, they can find some methods in which to, apply to their current condition, right? And that is that is the new hobby of the world, right? That is the new hobby. That is the new skill that is required in our modern world, is to achieve these higher states of consciousness at a very basic level, right? You don't have to become, a guru or a master to be of value to the world, right? All you have to do is be lunar initiate, which is the third term that I am introducing in this session, right? A lunar initiate, that's all, for us to become lunar initiates so that we can be a better service to our communities, right? So as you can see, these ideas are hopefully interesting, right? But they require a school, right? They require a system of training that will lay down basic key terms, kind of like the higher world, esoteric culture, the lunar initiate, that we can use in order to graduate to that stage and actually move to these higher worlds psychologically, right? So that we can, dwell in them and be citizens of them. Some examples of individuals that not only achieve these worlds, but also achieve success, in them, which is very rare. So one of them is John Ronald Reuel Tolkien, the author of The Lord of the Rings, right? He himself achieved that world, which he had a couple of names for it. The general term is secondary worlds, but the official name in his Lord of the Rings novel is Middle Earth, right? He wrote about Middle Earth from an eyewitness perspective. He was immersed into those worlds, right? He lived in Middle Earth, right? He wasn't inventing these things. He lived in them, right? He saw these things, and he just, wrote a story that, our modern time could enjoy and hopefully understand the deeper meaning and message behind them, right? So Tolkien is an example of what I would call a lunar initiate, right? He entered these worlds. He self-initiated himself into these worlds, and then he discovered a great treasure which he translated into his art of writing, right? Another example of someone who found these worlds, and now he's a bit more underground, or what you call occult, and that is the Swiss psychologist Carl Gustav Jung, right? And his discovery of what he called the subconscious, right? He made it, right? He entered the higher world, right? it was real to him, and that's what he wrote about as best as he could using our language, which is to be read symbolically, in order to really understand the worlds that are beyond those narratives, right? Another example, you can say J.K. Rowling, right, the author of Harry Potter. Although she doesn't present herself as a mystic, she is a mystic, right? She is a mystic. All you have to do is listen to her interviews on her creative process. All right, she talks about she gets all her ideas from a magical lake, and her job is to sit by the lake and capture these ideas, and then kind of like put it in her bag, and then take it back to her workstation where she crafts them into stories and narrative, where she structures them, right? So there are quite various examples of successful writers that have attained these higher worlds, right? Now, that doesn't imply that everyone who ascends to these higher worlds are going to find worldly success. In fact, the majority of them don't, right? And that is one of the correct characteristics within what I call esoteric culture, that there is quite a lot of normal, average people who have found citizenship into those higher worlds, but they haven't found worldly success in terms of like the degree of, let's say, someone like Rowling, right? There's a couple of esoteric authors who are citizens of those worlds because that is what they write about. But they're not traveling, charging thousands of dollars for interviews, right? So, but these worlds are real, right? And all we have to do is be curious about them, and learn more about them, and hopefully find a school that is compatible, which is one of the things that I'm trying to do with my main project, the Lunar Academy, which is to present commentaries on these worlds and these ideas, and also present a method in which we can actually ascend to them and do something with them, right? Actually get there and form a culture, right? A culture that we can develop and advance, that is not mine. I didn't create it. I didn't discover it. It has always been there, right?